welcome to the program. It's April the 23rd. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. Just one more day to go. I'm Kayode Okikula. Welcome.
To go where?
To the weekend.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Well, it's a cloudy day, but one with sunny expectations. Wherever you're watching us from, welcome to your perfect morning starter. I am Bukola Koga.
And I'm Jeffrey. On the 23rd of April or April the 23rd. The official window, I think I'm correct, should have been today or should be today for the primaries for whoever wants to do their primaries. So we've seen the APC done their listing, the PDP backed by Nyesom Wike also done their listing to see what happens in terms of who is contesting for what position, whether at the National Assembly, at the State Assembly, governors, as well as the presidential election. So is officially now open for all parties. So we have more than 20 parties, about 20 or 22 parties, because 3 more were registered by the Independent National Electoral Commission. So we should be seeing a lot of movement, but of course eyes are on the quote-unquote the big boys, from the APC to the PDP to the ADC and maybe Labour. So guys, that's just a political update. Yesterday we were expecting, perhaps because of the urgency of the matter, because the Supreme Court can adjourn and come back same day they want to. But it didn't happen for the ADC because of their own case. But I'm sure within the week they should get an answer from the Supreme Court, both PDP and the ADC, so that we know exactly what we're looking at in 2027.
So yet again, a lot of people get to look into the definition of what happens when the court reserves judgment. What does that mean? So basically the court says, well, we'll give you a time for you to come receive the judgment. So particularly for the ADC, where all eyes are on that party to see what will be decided. Will the court say, well, go back to the lower court and go through the process, or say, well, the lower court shouldn't have even entertained this case in the first place. So wait to see when the Supreme Court will then call the parties and say, now we are ready to deliver judgment. But when it says the court has reserved judgment, it means we've heard you all, we're going to make a decision, and when it is time, we'll give you a call. So we'll be counting down to that. But I must say that we may have just averted what could have been a major disaster in the aviation sector. And now the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, disclosed key federal government interventions aimed at reducing the financial pressure on airlines, and that follows rising concerns over the cost of Jet A1 fuel and the threat of service disruptions in the aviation sector. So the minister yesterday for hours met with a delegation from the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources. There were airline operators, oil marketers, and of course the press, as well as other stakeholders in that meeting. And it's a response to the sharp increase in aviation fuel prices, which operators say has become unsustainable. So some of the tough conversations were had, and Mr. Keyamo said that the president has approved a generous discount on certain outstanding fees owed to the federal government by the airline operators. So it looks like, well, we hope that the flights will not be suspended, or the operations will not be suspended right after this meeting, because I must tell you, the industry was really on the verge. And prior to this, we had a lot of delays, a lot of disruptions. So a lot of people were seeing the signs already. And when the airline operators came and said, well, we may just suspend operations, everybody sat up. So will this intervention change anything? We'll wait to see. By the way, if you're at the airport right now, you're heading there, let us know what your experience is like, so we really know if things have been resolved in that sector.
Well, very cheery news coming through from the aviation sector. Recall that they had cried foul, saying the astronomical increase in the price of Jet A1 fuel for aviation transport at that time was way too high, and there was some Shylock element involved. It was from, I believe, 1,000 Naira plus to over 3,000 Naira plus. Now that this relief has come the way of airline operators, we hope for more stability, and we hope for, reduction in the price of ticket fares, especially for air travelers, particularly because of, the critical nature of our aviation sector nationwide, worldwide rather. Borders on national security. But we've been hoping, Nigerians particularly have been hoping for similar relief to come the way of the oil sector in the terms of petrol price. And this is reminiscent of calls by the labor unions a fortnight ago for some form of concession to local refineries, including Dangote refinery, for crude oil prices to come down. We've been talking about subsidy for production, such that this would impact also on the price of petrol. And if the aviation sector can get this relief, more patronized by, if you like, those higher on the social ladder, how much more Nigerians, who resort to the use of petrol for a lot of needs. And, the president had spoken to this some time ago during a meeting with party stalwarts, I believe at the presidential villa, where he said that he was meeting with his Minister of Finance and some considerations were being made, over that particular subject matter against the backdrop of the conflict in the Middle East. And so expectations are still coming through as far as that is concerned, because it doesn't appear as if there is any, resolution or any signs that the Middle East conflict will come to an end anytime soon. The pump price, the price of crude oil in the international market is still hovering around $92 to $93, depending on Brent or the other brand of crude. And so incomes are not going up, Mr. President. Taxes have gone up, and so salaries are being deployed to meeting more critical needs. So Nigerians require relief as well.
Absolutely, spot on, Bukola. So I have done an analytics of the pump price of crude oil. So not pump price, crude oil price, I apologize. Crude oil price in 2014, I think around June, when there was a spike because of Iraq, ISIS, and all of those. Anything that happens in the Middle East that borders on security quickly brings an upswing or a spike in the price of crude oil. That's more like what happens every other time. So on this particular one, it got to over $100, slightly over $100. It took about 5 months because it tapered, and around November it got back. So it was about 5 months. And then the 2022 incident that happened with Ukraine-Russia war also caused a spike, and that took about 1 year, March of 2022 to March of 2023. So that's why when I said at the time, now that it has gotten over $100 again, except this is going to be uniquely different. So if we use the data we have, so it may take about 5 months to 1 year for the crude oil price to actually be stable in less than $100. Yesterday, guys, it went back to $100, at least Brent crude, which is why we've been talking to government to have a clear plan. I commend, there's something I like about the minister, Festus Keyamo. He has his imperfection, but if it's about responding to things in the sector, he's always up there responding, whether it's an incident that occurred, an accident that occurs, or things like this. He's upwardly mobile when it comes to this work. But sometimes we wait for knee-jerk reaction, things to happen. We've been proposing, look at production subsidy. Now it has finally happened. So let me read what he said. First, that there are some debts that have been owed to government agencies like NAMA, FAN, NCAA. Maybe there will be a reduction or a discount in that debt. But more importantly, so Mr. President will, according to the report here, will put a team together, and he will give them a deadline to report to him as quickly as possible on government fees and charges and levies that we can take off domestic tickets for now to give respite to Nigerians who are buying their ticket. So you can see it's production subsidy in a sense, if I understand what you're saying, which is what we're saying. The government has been inactive, in my view, when it comes to how they want to handle this. And that inactivity could also be a strategy to say, let's see if supply goes up or if cost of buying goes up, maybe demand will be less, and that would naturally push. But this is crude oil. It's priced internationally. It's not in a Alaba market, or it's not in Ojuelegba. So, great move, as you said, now that they've done it for the big men who fly. So what happens to the regular people who are more in number? How many people fly compared to how many people use the road? So they should start talking to the refineries. I'm sure there are levies, fees, and it may not be so much. Even if it takes 100 naira off, or 50 naira off, or 150 naira off, because I can almost guarantee consumption subsidy will never happen, because the government is very confident that they made the right decision. But at least production subsidy can happen. So well done, Minister Keyamo, on this one. But it's a reaction that came because of a threat. So we're not proactive. We're just reactive. But nonetheless, it's better late than they say never, right, guys?
So there you go. We'll see how things pan out, particularly for petrol. Right, for the longest time, since February the 28th, we have talked about how to find ways to ease the burden on Nigerians. Yes, subsidy is gone, but our creativity is certainly not gone in handling some of these challenges, because it bites harder by the day, right? So it's good to see what's happening in the aviation sector, as has been said, but it will be great to see how we can tinker around what's happening with the everyday sector, with price of petrol. In the meantime, I should mention that the presidency is sort of making some clarification about the exit of the Minister of Finance, former Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, and Musa Dangiwa, former Minister of Housing. So the presidency is saying they resigned, they were not sacked. This is according to a statement by Mr. Bayo Ononuga, who said that the gentleman actually resigned. Right, but in the previous statements which he released on April the 21st, I should say it was actually Yomi Odunuga, not Mr. Bayo Ononuga. It was Yomi Odunuga, who's the special advisor, media and publicity to the secretary to the government of the Federation, that's the SGF. And that statement did not mention anything about resignation. In fact, the statement said the president has approved minor cabinet reshuffle as Edun Dangiwa leave FEC. So it's important to be clear in government messaging, because if you look through that statement, it said that these changes are aimed at strengthening cohesion. So he really put the buck on the table of the president, that the president changed his cabinet. In fact, he went on to say in approving the cabinet reshuffle, referring to the president, that the president has exercised his powers as conferred on him by sections 147 and 148. So is this damage control? Is this trying to give some sort of soft landing? Whatever the case is, government communication must be clear.
I think they mismanaged the communication on this one. And I choose to believe that Edu and the other gentleman were fired. That statement was as clear as crystal. And for those who know what happens there, I'm not going to speak to facts. I'm not available, I'm not privileged to. Maybe there has been some running disagreement. There's an insider done by two national dailies that spoke about some things that are not in plain sight. So for me, this is just damage control. And it's sad because Minister Edu has been very close to the president, at least for the longest time. He served under him as commissioner. On that premise, I think the honorable thing should have been to ask him to resign. So he would have been the one to say, I have whatever, and then the president will now say, I have accepted. If that did not happen, I don't believe what Bayo Ononuga said. The man was fired. Because that statement did not come from me, it came from the SGF office, the man who coordinated administration within the State House. So the reason why we're doubling down on this is because people working with the president, the presidency, and the villa must realize that it's not a party thing, it's not a friends thing, it's an institution. So whatever comes out of there is Nigeria, good or bad. It's Nigeria. So these are very simple things that we're now trying to debate. Was he fired? Was it? It should have been managed better than this. So I choose to believe that the man was fired because the first statement was clear that the president even cited the provisions of the Constitution that gives him the power to do that. And you want to walk back? No.
Yeah, and government communication 2 days ago had spoken to the effect that this was to enhance synergy
Exactly.
Within government ministries and parastatals. So and the print does not lie. Initial texts do not lie. We can always refer to earlier reports put out by the presidency. And so the attempt to change the messaging or communication begs the question. And don't forget that there had been word in the corridors of power that the president had wanted to change things, particularly at the Ministry of Finance. And there are more details emerging now as to the exact reason that has informed this decision by the presidency. Of course, that is not official communication, but these things can hardly be hidden. And so the attempt to do damage control falls flat in the face as far as this is concerned. Is it to make the persons or of the that held the office look good? Because either way, it's the prerogative of the president, to hire and fire, and so their records speak for them as individual, whether they have done well or they have not done well. I believe that is left for those at the receiving end of their service to decide, and it may not necessarily impact on their future engagements. And so we appeal for better messaging next time, so coordination, amongst officials who manage the business of the presidency.
So that first statement, so that we'll read it for people to know what was said. Explaining the president's decision, Akume said, these changes are aimed at strengthening cohesion, synergy in governance, as well as achieving more impactful delivery on the economy to Nigerians through the Renewed Hope agenda. He said the president, in approving the cabinet reshuffle, has fully exercised his powers as conferred on him. The president, in approving cabinet reshuffle, let me read that again. The president, in approving cabinet reshuffle, has fully exercised his powers as conferred in him by section 147, 148 of the Constitution as amended. These are not things we should be coming on TV to be debating and all of that. So, but for me, I just feel sad for, it's unfortunate that whatever is said now even gives impetus to the fact that, the man was really sacked, rather than saying, we're clearing the air. I think he's been he's one of the, what I call the day ones of the president. And I think it should have been clear from the beginning to say, gentlemen, if you're leaving, excuse yourself. And the communication, these guys are experts. They've done this work for as long as I can remember.
Government should not take the people for granted. Do not think the people are fools, right? You released a statement, it was crystal clear, and now you come back and say, no, in fact, that statement, it means they resign. The people are not fools. And it really cuts across. If you're treating the people this way with just communication, how about the policies, the way you make decisions? Do you think the people deserve to be treated as indeed those that put you in power and not your servants? Food for thought. But hey, this was not handled well at all. And I think you should admit that this was a major gaffe from the government. We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll take a look at the front pages. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Mr. Andrew Igboke, Chairman, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, Enugu State, joins us. Mr. Igboke, I want you to intervene on this communication, because you're a communications person, so naturally I would like you to have your 2 cents on the matter. We saw the release from the Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, which was as clear as crystal, that the President has approved this reshuffle, and then we're hearing that he was not sacked, he resigned. What do you make of it?
Well, I've always argued in the past that there is a culture of error in appointing chief press secretaries, special advisors on the media, or communication handlers of communication for our elected public leaders, especially the politicians. Most of the time, they appoint journalists as spokespersons. In the training of journalists, journalists are trained to write news, to report stories, to write articles and opinions most of the time. The job of the communication handler for the presidency should be the work of public relations experts, should be the work of communication experts, not just journalists. Because a communication expert knows tones, nuances, and inflections of how to, be able to communicate the mood of or language of a statement. But a journalist is trained to give news reports most of the time, and so it just comes in like that. What we have witnessed a lot of times is that most of them don't know how to do what we call the image reputation management of their principles. So that is why when they see opinion or contradictory statements from others, they start to attack. They start to panic. They start to abuse. They start to use uncouth languages. That's because they are not properly trained. You don't blame them. They are not trained to be in that epicenter. They are not corporate communications managers and communication experts. They are mostly journalists. And that is why you see this kind of gaps coming up, repeatedly, or you see people attacking. Let's take the presidential spokesperson. He's a journalist, an erudite one. You cannot take that from him, a very experienced one. But again, his scope is limited. He has been in journalism all his life, as an editor, as a reporter, as a publisher. So he doesn't know any other thing apart from, those kind of things he does. But if it is a public relations expert or a communication expert who has an all-round training, then you will be able to gauge the mood of the people you are, writing to, which are the citizens. You're able also to carry the message of your principle, and you're able to balance both sides in the language, tone, and even the kind of lettering you use. So it's unfortunate, and these kind of things have been going on. Even the time of Buhari, we saw people, Shogaba issue his own, another person come and issue. The same thing has happened here. And it continues to happen because our leaders just think that to appoint a communication expert is just what for spokespersons. There should not just be spokespersons. There should be managers of communication, managers of the image, managers of reputation, and even the brand identity of the presidency.
Mr. Boke, let's go to This Nigeria. That's the paper we'll start with. And there are two stories I would like you to speak to. Electricity crisis persists as Adelabu exits power ministry. Ex-minister says peak power generation rose to 6,000 megawatts during his tenure. Increased revenue from 1 trillion to 2.3 trillion, amongst other achievements. So you can see he's already pitching or putting out a pitch for, because people are saying, what exactly are you going to tell all your people that you achieved as a minister that they should vote for you? But he said, look at where we are in terms of power generation, look at revenue. I would like you to speak to that as well, because I understand he's going to be running for the office of governor. But above that, just besides the nameplate, you can see FG states LGAs or LGs share over 2 trillion naira in March revenue. I'd like you to speak to that. I also heard somewhere that the Lagos state has crossed the 1 trillion naira IGR milestone, which is a good one. So I think we may be spending more time on spendings than these revenues, because when we hear these big monies, we kind of want to look for what they are spending it on.
Well, the power minister, in my own opinion and estimation, may be one of the worst in the history of Nigeria. Or let me not even use the history, let me even use the Fourth Republic. They're one of the worst power ministers. I think he should try to use his resume or his maybe success stories or achievements as deputy governor of CBN than power minister. Because as power minister, he's one of the ministers of power in recent times that have brought the most untold hardships on Nigerians. He's the one who has taken sides with the business people in the power sector than the citizens. He's the one who threatened us that if we don't increase a tariff of electricity, that we will go black, we will go blackout. And I remember calling him out that statement is an economic sabotage and it's treasonable. But nothing happened. This is Nigeria, where a minister is threatening the citizens that if power does not, if we don't increase the tariff of electricity, that the whole country will go we'll go into blackout, and he was still there. So as power minister, he brought just hardships. We didn't have any improvement. Is to be ashamed to say that he raised to 6 megawatts, but that still needs to be contested. But even assuming, but not agreeing that is factual, that we are 6,000 megawatts. I mean, for a minister of Nigeria, we have over 200 million population. You should be ashamed of saying that. I don't know where we glorify failure in this country. Where small countries with smaller population are having 40,000 megawatts of electricity. We are talking about 80,000 megawatts. We are talking about China arriving at 1 terawatts of electricity. Nigeria is talking about 6 megawatts for over 200 million people. And so these are the kind of shamelessness that comes with public office in Nigeria. For a minister to say for 250 million is 6,000 megawatts. I would say that the scorecard for the exited power minister is abysmally low, and they should not use that as a campaign tool at all, because that will not fly. Then for the FG allocations, I think we are just banding figures, talking about so much money in Naira and there but little value in essence, because we're an import-dependent economy. Almost everything is imported in Nigeria. So you find out that we are having more money in terms of Naira, but we are having less value in terms of Forex. So we are still groping, unless it's the only things that are, that will benefit from it be the salaries that they have refused to increase, and some other things that will get locally. But most of the things we do are brought in from outside the country. So when you import these things and you estimate it in the value of the Forex, you'll find out that with all the money they say they are making, the thing is low. So floating the Naira at the same time removing subsidy from all of petrol, from telecoms, from electricity has made our money, and then floating the Naira at the same time has made the whole thing useless. So you are saving money at the same time from so-called subsidy, from having a single market in by floating the Naira, but at the same time you have lost value. So when you compare what the local governments are getting now in terms of real value and what they are getting 5 years ago, you find out that with the little money that in Naira 5 years ago is more valuable than the so-called 1 trillion that Lagos has got, for example. So it's a cycle of inertia, a cycle of movement, so much motion but no movement. It's nothing to celebrate at all.
Well, there's another story at the bottom page of this Nigerian newspaper, but it's also captured on the front page of the New Telegraph. So perhaps we should just review the insight that has been provided by New Telegraph as our next port of call. And it borders on security. Senate demands security overhaul after Boko Haram kills 16 soldiers in base attacks. And there are a few insights there from the riders. Orders emergency rescue for erosion-ravaged parts of Nigeria. Akume, that's ascribed to the Secretary of State, I believe. No, but he's saying rather, Boko Haram significantly degraded and security is improving. Tinubu asks Red Chamber to confirm Dharma, that's the new minister designate for housing, to replace Dengiwa as housing minister. And Shegun Oni cautions against reintegrating de-radicalized criminals. I guess this comes on the heels of the graduation of over 700 ex-terrorists in the Ministry of Defense's de-radicalization program. But there you have it. This response of the Senate, what's your assessment of it, Mr. Igbuke?
I think that there's a kind of disconnect within the people that are ruling us. We have three arms of government. We have the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. It seems the executive, who are entrusted with running the day-to-day administration of the country, are somehow in disconnect with the legislators who make the laws and have oversight functions and as well accountability function to checkmate the executive. Because in this single report, we can see the facts on ground. The legislature are saying, oh, we need to overhaul, we need to ensure that things are not going haywire the way it's going. And on the other hand, we have the head of the secretariat of the presidency, who is the secretary to the federal government, saying that security has improved. These are two, opposite views. And then one wonders, is it still the same country, or is the SFG serving another government not called Nigeria? Are the legislators legislating in another country? These are the problems we are having, that if you cannot even have a simple synergy on how to, run the security issues so that we can make our policies, budgets, and allocations and oversight implementation, functions, then we are not saying the same language. So how do we now implement these strategies? So is it that the legislators are not properly briefed? Is it the SFG is receiving another briefing from the military hierarchy? Why are they saying different things? And so this calls for concern that there has not been this shows that the synergy between both arms are not working well. We are saying it's not about coming out to say we have done this, we have done that. These are not politics of hyperbolic statements. We are seeing deaths. Our troops have been killed. We just saw the burials the other time because it was a general. What of the other lower rank and file that have been killed? We are seeing escalation of violence erupt in Plateau State. We have seen it in Kwara State. We have seen it in Benue. We are not talking about isolated incidents. We are talking about repeated incidents, almost on daily occurrence. Yes, somebody as high up as the number 4 citizens of the country is saying that we are dealing with security issues, and so these are not politics. I mean, lives of citizens matter. So we are not talking about political statement or trying to score cheap points here. We are talking about the lives of your citizen, and therefore we should work together to ensure that these things work. But these statements, conflicting statement this morning, is disheartening. As far as many Nigerians are concerned, we have serious security issues in our hands that need to be tackled.
All right. The Vanguard newspaper is next, Mr. Igboke. Leads with food security, really, and it's some experts from the Vanguard Economic Discourse. And right under that big story, you find this coming from the U.S. Nigerian officials involved in killing of Christians. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. And on the flip side, you have former Minister Lai Mohammed saying Boko Haram is killing more Muslims than Christians. We've seen a consistency on the part of the United States government, particularly the legislators, with a focus on the security situation in Nigeria. And if you listen to Senator Ted Cruz in his presentation yesterday, he says, well, they know them, they know these people who are, in some sense, encouraging and involved in the killings. In fact, he mentioned some Nigerian politicians whom he said attacked him over the statements he made. But you have Mr. Lai Mohammed saying, well, more Muslims have been killed than Christians. So it seems that Nigeria agrees that there is widespread killings by the terrorists, but the bone of contention now is who's been killed more.
That's the kind of country we find ourselves. A show of absurdity. By the way, I've not heard from Mr. Lai Mohammed for a long time, so him coming out to say this thing, is he looking for a second shot as spokesperson or as Minister for Information? Maybe he's trying to show himself again, but he should not come into this kind of discussion. I don't know this kind of empathy these people have, Mr. Lai Mohammed coming to say whether it was Muslims that were killed more or Christians that were killed more. The kind of shamelessness these people exhibit in saying this kind of things. Your citizens are being killed, and what you are concerned about is who is killed more, whether it's Muslim or Christians. These guys, where is their soul? Because I don't know which kind of statements are this kind of no empathy, no sympathy. Not even reaching out to the families. You are contesting whether it is more Muslims that are killed or more Christians. But all of them, both Christians and Muslims, are your citizens. And you are confidently coming out to say, oh, Muslims are killed more. And by the way, the Arnold, Mr. Mike Arnold, over the years was able to gather, these things are not political statements the way most Nigerian politicians see it. These are years of work, of documentation, of research, of assemblage, of reports, of families, talking to families, of coming together to be able to identify victims and taking count over the years from different non-governmental organizations, from different community leaders. These things have been documented over the years. So it's not a whiff of political statement. And these things were presented. Someone like Mr. Lai Mohammed, if you have alternative facts, present them, let us see. Let's see your documentation over the years. But Nigerian government has not been able to even counter these things that the United States parties have been saying. And that is where I get worried. If you have a research-based or evidence-based collation of what has happened, bring it out to counter it. But the federal government, as far as I'm concerned, have not been able to provide alternative statistics. So for now, the only, as a scholar, the only thing that we agree with is the statistics of the United States people, because they have been able to present it case by case study. So let the federal government also commission their own research team to be able to now be able to document these things and go around just the way they have gone around. But again, it is not even a matter of whether more Christians are killed or almost. The problem is Nigerian citizens are killed, and instead of the federal government to focus on making sure that the terrorists are degraded and obliterated, they are paying lobbying groups to tell United States Congress that Christians, that is not a Christian genocide, or more Muslims are being killed than the rest. It is unfortunate that we are engaging in this kind of conversation in the 21st century.
Mr. Oguke, well said. It's sad that we're debating who is more killed. It's absurd, obnoxious, borderline obnoxious. And it's very unfortunate. Two things that successive governments have not been able to resolve: insecurity and power. And if anybody can do that, I think they'll get the ones that's saying too much. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian, debate over security strategy as Senate demands rescue of 416 captives. As Senate demands rescue of 416 captives. So we are still back on this security matter. We've deployed, now the only thing we have not done, Mr. Oguke, and that's a page 6 read, is waiting for the amendment to the Constitution such that we can have state police and see how far reaching that will be. But what do you make of this story?
It still goes back to what we have said in the last story, where we are talking too much. We are not taking actions. Our actions are not commensurate to our stock. So release captives. These are captives. These captives should be more, because from all the indications from the people that have been kidnapped over the years, all of a sudden we have forgotten about the Chibok girls. We have forgotten about the Dapchi girls. If you combine those numbers alone, they're almost this number you're talking about. And the people kidnapped from different places. The people in captivity are so much from reports we are having. And so it is not enough for Senate to demand. What is Senate doing? Can the Senate bite? That is the problem. Senate have not called for the resignation of anybody during all these issues. It just demands and demanded. The other time the Senate was also asking, what's the budget for defense used for? What are we actually doing? And so these are the questions that were brought again. There are no consequences from what all we are seeing. There are no consequences both from the hierarchy level, to the ministry level, to everybody who is involved in this. I've not seen any serious consequences. Citizens are still being killed. The kinetic and approaches, we are not seeing. Look at what the reports we got the other time when General Brahma, when he was killed, was that the APC, that is the armored personnel carrier, did not start from the rumor, from the information we got, and so many things. So what is happening? If you sit down with the military boys and talk, you discuss with them, you feel sorry sometimes what is happening in this country. So it is not about demanding and the rest. Let the Senate have oversight function to ensure that the budget that are dedicated for the military, especially for procuring hardware, for procuring technology, and for trainings are implemented. Because if these things are not implemented, we just budget, I think we are finished, and after a while you're not seeing results, you say you demand, nothing goes. I mean, we are still in the same cycle of deceit, of inaction. So the Senate should follow it up and be able to ensure that the budgetary allocations that will help our military to fight these terrorists are implemented to the latter. That is why we can always get results. Every other thing is in the realm of showmanship.
Mr. Igboke, thank you so much. Ambrose Igboke is the chairman of Guild of Public Affairs Analysts. Besides insecurity to the issue of governance, we are still dealing with energy prices. I just read a report from Standard Chartered who watch commodity and oil prices, and they are forecasting that there's a possibility that maybe in coming months we will be averaging $95 per barrel of crude oil. So we need to brace up as a people and see what those adjustments are. Mr. Igboke, thank you. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will get to our very first conversation, and it's politics. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and so let's get right into our first conversation, and we're looking at the state of things within the Labour Party, especially ahead of the 2027 general elections. And recall that days ago the Court of Appeal had dismissed the suit filed by the erstwhile, if you like, contended leader of the party, Mr. Julius Abure, challenging the leadership of the Nenadi Usman-led group. And so let's find out the state of things as far as that is concerned. And joining us virtually this morning is the National Vice Chairman of the party, Mr. Abayomi Arabambi, who joins us virtually. Good morning, Mr. Arabambi. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yes, the Vice Chairman, Southwest. So, Mr. Arabambi, against the backdrop of that Court of Appeal decision, which was challenged by your group, actually, we've also seen that INEC officials visited the headquarters of the party to find out the state of things, to verify tenancy, the leadership of the party. Is this perhaps a move, to abide by the Court of Appeal's decision? And where does that leave the Abure group, your group?
Well, it is just a routine checkup as done by INEC and as prescribed by the Electoral Act and the Constitution of Nigeria. So we are not perturbed about that because we are doing our registration. We are also on the registration portal. We're also doing our registration because it is same Labour Party, same membership. We don't want to be caught, napping. We don't want to be caught unaware, towards the May 10th, the last day for the delegation of a political party. So that is just that. It's not, conferring form of legitimacy on an illegal body referring to themselves as the national caretaker, which is not in our constitution and which is not even in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because Section 223 provided for periodic election, not caretaker. It has been forbidden, and we even have a Court of Appeal judgment in respect of that forbid parties being headed by any caretaker group. And also, this caretaker they are talking about was formed by Obi as national chairman and Governor Lesotho as national secretary. And this was the reason why, when we look at that judgment, that is when you see the edge of judicial rascality, being promoted in our judicial system. And we are shocked, we are shocked. There are not of inconsistency, though we are waiting to pick the CTC of that judgment. That judgment will not only be studied in Nigeria, the three justices also will have themselves to express something to the international community. We just want to have the CTC so that they can be sent to the people we have spoken to in the US, in the UK, and in Canada. Because this is the time, that we have to put it in the right perspective. When a matter comes before judges from the federal court, you don't abandon, the course of that matter from the federal court. You now, so want to raise your own when two people go before a court, if the people want, if let me say a couple want a dissolution of marriage, the judge don't go into their property, for God's sake. You don't go into, to some other thing. When they say they want to dissolve, like their marriage, you don't talk about dissolution, you are talking about property. You are talking about their in-laws, you are talking about, some other thing. You just abandon this your dissolution. Do you still want them to go, to stay until when one kill the other? You just veer up, you are raising some funny issues. But because we have not seen the CTC, they will be shocked about what's going to happen to that, and we also appeal to Supreme Court. Supreme Court will not agree with what that justice I've forgotten her name read, because there are a lot of inconsistencies. But because, like I said, we have not seen it, it's not going to stand. They are just on a temporary platform that they are using. Though they have resources we don't have, it doesn't matter. 6 versus 1, we don't matter. We'll still proceed to Supreme Court to go and argue out our right, and I know Supreme Court will do justice to that, because in Nigeria, Supreme Court must protect, those. Some people felt they are above, so some people felt we have to serve them from the position of servitude, which is very, very unconstitutional and unfair. We know Supreme Court will do justice to that, as Supreme Court will never want some of us to now seek asylum.
But Mr.
We don't want to go to seek asylum in US or UK because there is no justice in our country. Supreme Court will not want that. So we are going to appeal, to Supreme Court over that.
Speaking of Supreme Court, the appeal court in its judgment aligned with the Supreme Court verdict of this time last year, which settled the leadership dispute, particularly hinging its decision on the fact that party affairs should remain internal party affairs. And so what are you hinging your expectations on should you appeal this again? Is it not reinventing the wheel?
No, Supreme Court said leadership that party lack jurisdiction. That's why I said we want to see, the CTC. If court lack jurisdiction, it happened in ADC, it happened in PDP, where they said court lack jurisdiction. This is exactly what Supreme Court says, that we lack jurisdiction to entertain. When a court lack jurisdiction, you don't proceed to do any other thing. You do not begin to do findings, and that was what Justice Peter Lifu did. Supreme Court did not, I repeat, say that the tenure of Abure expired, because that means they will have delved into the issue of the party, internal affairs of the party. The admonition they were giving was what most of the people misconstrue as a judgment. Judgment don't advise. Judgment is assertive. But when people now decided to abandon the main course and they now veer up, the road to just be feeding public with lies, we are not perturbed. They did not. Supreme Court, that judgment was not based on Supreme Court. It was just based on heresy, on hearsay by Justice Peter Lifu. Because in his own judgment, he agreed didn't have jurisdiction. Court of Appeal did not veer into that also. They did not discuss that because Justice Peter Lifu also said in his judgment that they seek interpretation of Supreme Court judgment. No court is allowed to interpret Supreme Court judgment. No court. The President of Court of Appeal is listening to me, and even the Chief Justice of Nigeria is listening to me. No court is allowed. No court, I said, is allowed to interpret the Supreme Court judgment. If something is not clear, what you need to do is to go back to that Supreme Court and seek interpretation. But for a judge of a lower court, federal court, to now be interpreting the judgment of my Lord, the Justice of the Supreme Court, is still volume, and yet the Court of Appeal decided to, agree with what Justice Peter Lifu said, but they are not the Supreme Court because they are talking about Supreme Court. No problem. When we get to Supreme Court, if Supreme Court now say, oh, we have now reversed ourselves, we have now changed our rule that federal court can now reverse judgment of Supreme Court. I will clap because we have a lot of cases that will now run back to Supreme Court to invalidate. We have a lot of cases. All right. There are a lot of people who have been, because I'm a litigant, are now piling up. Once Supreme Court said we reversed ourselves in this case, we have a lot of court now that will now go to federal court and will now cite that authority. So now be reversing a lot of judgment of Supreme Court so that it can come into the favor, of the people that have lost earlier.
I want to step back for a moment because I know that most times we have conversations with politicians in Nigeria. We spend most of the time talking about one litigation, disagreement, dispute or the other. So imagine we had, 10 minutes to talk about something that will move or things that will move the nation forward. We spend 7 minutes talking about disputes, and then we have just about 2 minutes to talk about real issues that will move our nation forward. And here goes my question. It's sort of a personal reflection that I decided to ask you. And it is this: what is fundamentally wrong? What is fundamentally broken with politicians, that instead of having conversations or deliberations to move your party and the nation forward, it's about disputes, almost like infants. There's always some disputes, such that we have now clogged up the courts with political cases of parties trying to resolve who is the leader, who did the right thing, who didn't do the right thing. And these are not only adults, but elders in most of the cases. And then they go in front of the courts like infants, line up and say, well, this is what is wrong, help us solve it. I mean, doesn't it disturb you? What is broken? What is wrong with politicians and politics in Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. You see, let me say this very clear. Whoever, pontificate on a lofty principle idea of decency, you see, you don't turn around to say that principle is no more realistic. We have in our political system the architect of our misery in the past coming again, with a prescription for solution. The people who have poisoned the system are now coming as a physician to say, oh, we have a solution to it. Whenever you see people who have resources, they believe every other person must serve them for the position of servitude. And that we will not agree. We are all equal before the Constitution. We are all equal before the law. And that was the way God wanted it. So when people come into a party, I will draw two examples. Look at ADC, the congresses they did some 5 days ago. Do you know they have parallel congresses? It was not before David Mark and Aregbesola came. But what they did was that they have their mindset with Peter Obi. So they now set up a parallel executive to go and remove other people there. Can you tell me, what do they have? What is the quality that Aregbesola want to tell he has in Nigeria? What is the quality that Mark want to tell he has in Nigeria? What is the quality that Obi want to claim he has in Nigeria? The same thing in Labour Party. Himself and Alesoti, they were in Abga. They were pursued out of Abga. They went to PDP, they are trial manner of party until when they came to Labour Party. And what do they want us? They say all of us should leave. They have the people that they want to work with. It is bad that you are not going to accept that. That is the fulcrum of most of the crisis we have, in the political party, where some people felt, oh, we have bought these people, let us now bring in our own group to monitor, to administer, that party. Nenadi Usman is a member of Peter Obi team in the finance sector during our campaign. We all knew what transfer between us and Peter Obi, how himself and all manner of human rights and peace and dodo activists began now to mop themselves up, and they want to push us out of Labour Party.
Mr.
And that
Rabambi,
was what has transcended into the crisis.
your positioning and your posturing as a saint in this, and I totally get it. And my people will say, if you were given a hoe, you always ensure that whatever you're hoeing comes to your side. But from what we have seen, there are no saints in that sense, because everybody has a blame to take. And I wonder, more reflections, Mr. Rabambi, and I'm not trying to blame anybody, it's just what we've seen. In fact, if you go to the courts and you have a proper case, they tell you, oh, we have political cases, so we don't have dates for you. And you're thinking, Nigeria is not just about politics. So is it a function of the fact that we don't have our very best being a part of politics? So when they say, when the desired is not available, the available becomes the desired. Is that where the challenge is? Should we have some of the best of us now saying, let me actively become a part of politics? Those who are doing well either in the private sector, who are doing well in their professions. Do you think that will solve all of this if we have them saying, I want to be a part of politics now?
You see, normally we ought to have, leaders, who must have retired, from politics. But today, they recycle themselves. Like I was saying before, if we have somebody as a commissioner for 8 years, governor for 8 years, minister for 8 years, for God's sake, and that person still want to retain himself, in the political space. How will people like you now got a space, to bring in your idea that will move our country forward? I'm talking of Babarafu. Now, what about Rotimi Amechi, a speaker, a governor, and a minister? And he said, I am hungry, I am angry. They still want to come back, to rule by force. This is the problem that we have with our political class. So they were supposed to have at least leave the stage for younger people to come, but because they have, enough resources, they believe we must be in the corridor of power where we are going to have free fuel, free food, free everything, by themselves. And that is the bane of our problem. I just give you instances. If I tell you now, the states that have gone to court in ADC, there are more than 31 that have gone to court, over the congresses. That these are the people that say, oh, we are Democrats. We want to do the needful. But they want to
Is this about Labour Party or ADC? Pardon me. Oh, we're talking about your party. Are you in ADC now?
I'm giving you an instance. I said over 30 something. So that by the time their own comes out, you will not be saying, oh, these people are being sponsored by so. These people are being sponsored by. I am only giving you, answer to your question that what is the problem with political class? I said they normally wanted people they meet in that political party to serve them from the position of servitude, and we people will refuse. We are going to reject it because many of them say can even come to Nigeria that, oh, this is the way I made my money. They probably can be living on government, so you don't come with government money to do your political harakiri against us.
Mr. Rabambi,
Yes.
just to add to what my colleague has asked you, I think all the politicians are almost the same. I know you picked... just hold on, sir. You picked Rotimi Amechi Ralph Aregbesola. The president himself served and became governor, and he aspired. He's within his right. He aspired to be president, and he was fortunate enough to be president. Fashola, the former governor of Lagos State, he got to the point where he became minister. In fact, let's even talk, because you pointed other parties, I just want to show you that it cuts across board. Yayi, for instance, who is a consensus candidate in Ogun State, served as a member of the assembly, I think in Lagos, in House of Reps. He served in Senate in Lagos and served in Senate from Ogun State. And now he's running for governor of the state. So everybody seems to be doing the same thing. So on that premise, it falls flat on his face. As far as this politics is concerned, maybe for any other person who was uncontested, maybe you can put that argument. But besides that, you are also being looked at as part of the problem. And I'll tell you why. Now you're fighting for your right as an aborigine of the party, because now I've classified those who've been in the party as aborigine, and the people who are coming in as settlers. So it's an aborigine settler fight, whether it's ADC, LP. I think the only place that doesn't have that problem is APC, because they came as a merger. You are saying that for other elected position, you will be supporting the Labour Party. But when it comes to the presidential election, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll be supporting the president. Am I correct?
Yes.
So what exactly are you doing that others are not doing? This is clear case of anti-party activity.
No, you asked me a question.
Yes, so I just want to establish it, then you respond. Forgive me. If you stay in your party and you're supporting another party, isn't that a clear case of anti-party activity? So you're also not a saint.
Okay, thank you very much. We have rotational, presidency in Nigeria, and in 2023, I didn't vote for president. Parliament, I voted for Peter Obi. But at the end of the election, we saw that they only came to cash out from our party, which we have raised on your station to challenge Obi to come and produce the account regarding those 4 bank accounts, where I told him we have $15 million, 12 billion. Up to today, Obi has not raised this issue concerning it. He knew, we know. But he came to our party, even though we were advised by Professor Charles Oludo, he wrote us a letter that guy is coming to scam you. He's not coming for election, but at the end of the day, we didn't listen, and we failed in 53,000 polling units, where we have 4.8 million votes. And the court threw that away. If we have added 4.8 million to his 6-point-something million, we would have won that presidency. But Obi came to do business in our party, and that was why they created that crisis with him and Governor Lesotho. They created that crisis intentionally, thinking that he can come back, and we now say rather than for us to again be deceived the second time, for Peter Obi, he ran to ADC without even resignation in Labour Party. We now said, okay, rather than that, the president belongs to Southwest. I cannot vote for any northerner in 2027. I will not. I cannot vote for any Southeasterner in 2027 because it is the turn of the Southwest. I'm a Yoruba man first because I'm in Nigeria. I'm from Owu, I'm from Abeokuta. I'm a Yoruba man, then I'm from Nigeria. I have now said that there is no way we can have anybody running under the platform of the Labour Party, even for governor, for House of Reps, for Senate, because of the crisis that they intentionally created in our party. And if they think they want to have their way to bring Peter Obi back into Labour Party, you say you are wasting your time. Hey, we will rather continue with the Southwest presidency, because who is going to buy form except you want to come and buy form? We will be happy, but I know you are not going to throw
I'm not interested.
40 million into the party. You are not going to throw your 40 million into the party.
I'm not interested in politics.
No, we can throw no money for you to come and
I'm not interested.
Well, I don't know. So that was the reason
you're the politician, yes.
No, why we said we will support Parliament so that the Southwest can continue their 8 years. We have to complete that 8 years. Then let it go to the north. Not like the Syria vice president who have been contesting against every southern candidate at every election. But we believe the Southwest has to complete their term. There is no reason why the northerners should buy against Tinubu. It is not justiciable at all. It is not. They ought to allow the southern party, the southern area of Nigeria, to slug it out among themselves, just like we did in 2023, which Obi actually threw off because it was because we didn't have a agent in 53,000 polling units due to Aisha Yusufu, and Peter Obi, which we didn't know that causes us 4.8 million votes, because where you don't have agent, your result will not be admissible in line with the Electoral Act. So we now said, okay, this time around, we are not going to be sleepily following Peter Obi. Let's, think very well. Let's do some juxtaposition so that we know for us to move our country forward. We will not go and be putting anybody who considers himself as a scammer and who even think, he's wiser than everybody. He has no fault, according to him. We don't have an agreement with that. But for us, Southwest has to complete their 8-year term. Nothing must stop it. And since we have a Southwest president, we have to support it. And that's why I said for governor, for Senate, for House of Reps, for House of Assembly, it is our party. And that is exactly what we are going to do. And Governor Zonti shared this thought, with us. We have had a meeting where he said he's not going to oppose President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, presidency in 2027. He has said it openly.
Mr. Arabambi.
I saw you people there, when he was doing the press something in his office there. So there is nothing bad if he agree with that and we also agree with that. I don't think we have seen against anybody. I for me,
Mr.
I'm not going to vote for any Southeast candidate or any northern candidate.
Mr. Arabambi, I'd like to appeal to you to please show some decorum in your use of language for those you referred to in your commentary, especially because they're not here to defend themselves. And whatever you say that is, seems to be aspersions on their personality will remain in the realm of allegations. So we do not incur any responsibility for your comments. I'd like to just put it out there that you are the National Vice Chairman Southwest of the Labour Party. That's how we introduced you. But to double down my colleague's concern that you perhaps are part of the problem, if you are in the Labour Party and you are supporting the candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the presidential election, your position is that you want to support a candidate from the Southwest. But are you also the state convener of the Sustainability of Ogun and Dapo Abiodun Legacy Beyond 2027 group? And this is reminiscent of the Labour Party's allegations in 2023 that you were being used by the All Progressives Congress to destabilize the Labour Party.
Well, thank you very much. You see, our position regarding that most people don't know, is that we are trying to protect our legacy. We have an issue in Ogun State, and if anybody say, Dapo Abiodun is using me to destabilize the Labour Party, they have to come with fact and not, fiction. Our position here is that the last election goes to to Remo Federal Constituency, Remo,
Mr. Arabambi.
Ogun East.
Mr. Arabambi.
which was Dapo Abiodun. People are now saying, oh, it has to go to Ogun West. But we from Ogun Central are also now challenging that we have the capacity to sustain that legacy beyond Dapo Abiodun in 2023. I am an Egba man to the core, and I am part of the Egba Locum. That's what they don't understand. We also have a candidate that we want to use, but from Egba. Egba, we are one body. Are you getting me? Separated by the constitution. But our position is that Egba also has interest, and that was why we are saying we want to sustain that. The legacy beyond that Abiodun is going to, leave office in May 2029. Governor Abiodun is my brother. During our election, every one of you know, you will see Peter Obi going to this governor who say, who is my friend, this one is my friend, so nobody can say I should not, relate with my brother.
All right, Mr. Arabambi, are you the convener of the sustainability of Ogun and Dapo Abiodun legacy beyond 2027? I'd just like you to confirm or deny that.
I can't hear you well.
Are you the convener of the sustainability of Ogun and Dapo Abiodun legacy beyond 2027? Are you the convener of that group?
I am the convener. I've just explained to you.
All right. So
about
you are the national vice chairman Southwest of the Labour Party. Governor Dapo Abiodun is a governor under the auspices of the All Progressives Congress. So are you not working against the interest actively on many fronts, both at the presidential level and in your state, working against the interest of the Labour Party?
No, let me tell you, we have a governorship, aspirant who will soon be a governorship candidate of our party in person of Sheku Shomi, is from Egbalake. When we are talking about legacy, the governor we have now is doing a lot. We have the airport, we have Gateway Airline, we have the Tongeji, we have the Eba Oil. A lot of companies has come. It is a legacy that is going to bequeath to Ogun State. How do we sustain it? We are now saying that we must put in the right person there to sustain that legacy, and that person will have to come from Egba. That's what we are saying. A lot of people don't understand. I am an advocate of Egba agenda.
So are you saying that the Labour Party would not have?
I'm an advocate of
Shouldn't you be supporting a Labour Party candidate in your state?
Yeah, we have. I said our candidate is going to be from Egbalake. They have picked their consensus from Ogun West. I am not part of that team. We are from Egba agenda. We have ourselves, and we are still championing that cause. It's not going to be an election that all of us will now go square off, with each other. When they will present their candidate in Yewa, we will present our candidate from Egbaland. Are you getting my point now?
Mr. Arabambi, I get your point. It's a redefinition of political party values the Nigerian way from your explanation, clearly. But we must anchor the conversation at this point. And thank you very much. Mr. Abayomi Arabambi is the National Vice Chairman, Southwest of the Labour Party. Thank you for your time on the morning brief.
Okay, thank you and good morning. No, it's not audible. I didn't answer your question very well.
All right, we'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll delve into other matters just as important. The outcomes of governance in the Federal Capital Territory. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
A matter of few days ago, the Pan-African Manufacturers Association decried the ripple effects of rising energy prices caused by the unrest and the impact of policies as well on the manufacturing sector in Nigeria, which have become very significant. So today we want to pay attention to that engine that drives Nigeria's economy. And we're joined on the program by Bob Manuel Ibifere, who is the president, Rivers Entrepreneurs and Investors Forum. As also CEO of Bob Tractor Limited, joins us via Zoom from Rivers State. Mr. Ibifere, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
And I'm going to flip the question and ask you, how easy is it for manufacturers in Nigeria today? Just how hunky-dory is the situation?
It is very challenging. It is very challenging and quite unfortunate what manufacturers are going through in the country today. You know, we expected that the government would understand the pains that we're going through, but with the recent developments and the recent policies that they put in place, especially policies that has to do with the import waivers that are given to different sectors like the automobile sector, the EV, electric vehicles, and the agricultural tractors and implements, it's going to spark a major job loss in the country. And it would erode the local inputs and local technology that the country has been able to harness. And it's quite unfortunate, you know, to say the least. Yeah, we're going through a very difficult time, especially now with all of what is going on.
So I want you to help us understand perhaps the kind of consultations that went into that decision, because naturally if you make such decisions, you would look at your local market, you'd have a conversation with the local industry and ensure that whatever decision you're making would also protect the local industries, because you don't want to take all your jobs out there, because that's what happens when you bring products in and Nigerians are now purchasing those products coming in. What you're doing is providing jobs and helping the economy out there. So walk us through, were there consultations? How does this directly also impact you? But I'm really concerned about the conversations that happened before this decision was made, and how can government ensure that you are protected amidst all of this?
Yeah, from the best of our knowledge from the Investors Forum and from the manufacturing sector, we have there was no consultation before this decision was taken. And when such a decision is taken that has a direct bearing with our activities with manufacturing, and not just manufacturing, I mean key sector manufacturing, it obviously it's seen in the bad taste, because with this current law that has been put in place, you automatically, I can tell you that most of our agro-based technology would be eroded and would be wiped out. And the amount of jobs directly and indirectly in the agro space that will be lost will be running into millions. And I wonder, why would the government take such a drastic decision without proper consultation to understand how to go about it? And Nigeria is not, I mean, this particular scenario we're going through now, or we're about to go through now, it's no different from what would have wiped out the manufacturing in the early 80s, when we had the likes of Anamco, we had the likes of Stair, we had the likes of Peugeot, and so there's so many of them. All of those manufacturing companies, assembling and manufacturing companies of automobile, agricultural tractors and implements, all of those companies were wiped out just because of a single policy that was not properly thought through. And that is what we're going to face again as we speak with this policy in place. So it's quite unfortunate why our leaders seem to always, I think they don't really take our time to think through the policies that they put in place, understanding that those policies are what are the basic instruments in the hands of our economic handlers to rejig or to tool the economy to become what it should be. And to that extent, we are calling on the government to immediately look back and rescind such policies where they're talking about giving zero waivers to every import of agricultural products into the country, because you already have agricultural manufacturing companies that are world beaters that are doing very well in Nigeria today. They are not just doing very well in Nigeria, they are exporting agricultural tractors and implements out of Nigeria to places like Dubai, to Ghana, as we speak. So why would you want to wake up one day and you say all of those would just go down the drain because you want to now begin to open up your what do you call your seaports for anybody to import anything? And Nigeria is just going to be a dumping ground for all of this. And when it becomes a dumping ground for all of it, the farmers will eventually suffer because we don't have homegrown solutions to solving our homegrown problems in Africa and in Nigeria in this context. So I think...
My apologies, sir. Let me begin by asking very basic questions so that we establish the conversation even further. So does the Nigerian government, by Nigerian government I mean whether at the subnational level, especially at the federal level, know that you guys, permit my word now, exist, that you manufacture agricultural machinery? Do they know that?
Of course, absolutely. Because we're in partnership with an agency in the presidency called Nasini, and we're in partnership. We're actually manufacturing from we're assembling from the facility in Nasarawa State, and we're in partnership with the Nasarawa State government in doing all of this. And our products are out there in the market, they're everywhere in the market. And the products are not just in the market, they're serving all the major industrial farms, the major mechanized farms in Nigeria run with our products. So it's not, there's no gain for kind of saying they do know or they don't know, because we're in partnership with them.
So the question will be, were you consulted to see what your pricing looks like? And then they said, based on your pricing, it may be either expensive, because if you're going to look for another alternative to buy, that means you want a better price. Is it that the price of your products or your machines are a bit more expensive than when they import, which is why they gave the waiver?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because
so give us a price comparison, sir. My apologies, sir, because I told you I'm going to be in bits.
Well,
so I'm not too familiar with what machines. I wish we can have maybe a tractor or whatever. Let's use, say, a tractor, for instance. I don't know. I'm sure there are different types. How much it costs to buy one in Nigeria? How much it costs to import one into Nigeria?
Now, you look at the quality, or you look at the context, you look at it from the point of view of quality. So the products that you benchmark our tractors with in the market today are products that are made out of America. Our 100 horsepower tractor goes from the range of 50 to 60 million, depending if it is single, if it is four-wheel drive, or single, that's two-wheel drive. For a two-wheel drive is the low end of it. It goes for 50 million, and the four-wheel drive goes for as much as 60 million. That's the four-wheel drive with the factory-fitted installed air conditioners and all of that. Now, if you just oppose that to a product that is made out of America and that's in the market, that you easily find across in the market, 100 horsepower of that product, because I don't want to mention names so it doesn't draw this into a different space. Now, you buy any of those products from the neighborhood of 100 horsepower from the neighborhood of 90 million to 110 million. So you see that we're about a half of what they sell.
So the question will be, thank you, sir. My apologies, sir. So the question will be, why would the government choose to buy something that is more expensive or give a waiver? Because I'm looking at the highlight of the 6-point plan of the Nigeria First policy. The very first is prioritizing local production in all federal government procurement processes. I hope you understand what I'm trying to make sense of here, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the question we keep asking ourselves. Because this just didn't start. It started out even about 2 years ago when the administration came into power. They came and they decided to go to Belarus to buy tractors. They bought 3,000 tractors and implement into the country, whereas you have locally manufactured, locally assembled tractors in country that you're supposed to be protected. So at the back of that incident, the federal government came with a new policy, enacted a new policy where they insisted that the federal government must encourage made in Nigerian products by buying made in Nigeria. And we felt that they've been able to, realize the mistakes that they made. But for them to come up with this now, it leaves one wondering what is really going on. Because the problem of our growth, the problem behind the growth of the Nigerian economy is as a result of the government flip-flops in its policies. Today, it decides to enact one policy. The next day, they decide to enact the other. So you now look at the intent behind all of this. You look at the sincerity. Is it that the people that play are trying to undo the economy for them or their personal interest? These are the questions you ask. Now, I'll give you a similar scenario in America. In America, you have 100% duty on every electric or agricultural item that comes in. Let's use electric. Every electric item, every electric car that comes into the American economy. Why? Because the American economy is working round the clock to protect its local manufacturers and to protect its local economy. We need to give our local manufacturers the leverage for them to gain traction before you begin to come up with policies that would tend to endanger the growth of such businesses. Because these businesses we're talking about are businesses that are running into billions of naira, and you begin to wonder. Not too long, we went into a partnership. For the past 5 years, we've been trying to break into the American economy, into the American market, by exporting our products into America and European countries and in China. It has been a challenge for us. Why? Because they're protecting those markets. So why would it be that our own government would sit down without taking out time to look at the pros and cons, and they wake up and to enact such a policy that would now open up the market and put the investments that we've made in the Nigerian economy at risk? And we begin to wonder, what is the essence? What do they intend to achieve?
So you mentioned the importation of tractors from Belarus, but if we went further down, perhaps to states that embark on agriculture and invest heavily in that sector, for instance, Niger State, tractors there are also imported either from Brazil or Czech Republic by the reports. And so if indeed your products are out there, government knows that you exist, what then is the role of Naseni that you said you are into partnership with? Are they actively fulfilling the mandate for which they were established? That's to promote innovation and engineering within the domestic space.
I would give it to the management and leadership of Naseni, because they've been quite proactive. Naseni, I've worked tirelessly to see that they push the products, they enlighten our governors and indeed the presidency on the importance for them to patronize made in Nigerian products. Because I could remember one of the governors' forum meetings that they had, where the Naseni leadership, Khalil, took out time to do a full-blown presentation to them on the importance for them to buy made in Nigerian tractors like Bobtrack. So all the works have been done. They've done their bit, and they're still doing what they're doing. We try as much as possible to do what we do. We have our sales outlets across the country. At major airports, you have our tractors being displayed in Lagos. At MM2, you have our tractors in Asaba and so on. The problem is, I think it goes beyond just buying of tractors to the point where you begin to ask how sincere they are, our government functionaries, on how sincere they are in their activities and in their conduct. Because when you have a product that is cost effective, that is better, stronger than what you take out time to go and buy outside, and you ask yourself, what's the end to this? Why would you want to go as far as this? What's your angle? That's what you keep asking ourselves. We must be patriotic for this Nigerian economy to be what it is. If we're not patriotic, then we'll keep living in illusion. And this is one of those cases where patriotism in the country is being called to question.
So if Naseni, pardon me, if Naseni is promoting your work and is effective, as you have said, why is it unable to get you a foot in the door with procurement, for instance, where the decisions are made for these agricultural equipment to be imported? Why is Naseni unable to get your association a foot in the door?
Well, I think Naseni could do as much as they could because Naseni does not hold the final say on the decision process in the country. You know, they've done the bit. I would want to say they've done the bit because of what we've seen, what they're trying to do. But for us as a company, yes, some governments are buying the made in Nigerian tractors like Bobtrack. We have we will have some of the states that we're in partnership with. And most of the major mechanized farms in the country run on Bobtrack. So we don't think we have too much to prove, because what we have to prove is in the usage of our products, and our products are out there and being used by the major mechanized farms across the country. So we don't have much to prove than for the government officials to be patriotic and to match their words with what they do.
So on a final note, just to paint a full picture, how much of your work is assembled, how much is manufactured in Nigeria?
Well, we have like 40% of our works being manufactured here, and we have 60% assembled, manufactured outside, and we do 100% of the assembling in Nigeria. That's basically what we did.
So do you also
was developed from the scratch from Nigeria here, and from the scratch from Nigeria here, taking into account the challenges that our farmers are faced with, because back then, while I was in school in the north in Kano, I had the opportunity to have a first-hand knowledge with what the farmers were doing, because I traded in essential commodities like farm produce. So I understood the pain that the farmers were going through, and I felt that was a space, that was a niche that was going to be able to be of impact. And today, a decade down the line, we have Bobtrack on our shelves.
All right. I was just going to follow up by asking if you also enjoy that waiver, particularly on manufacturing machinery. Does it also apply to some of the things you bring in?
Well, that of course we do enjoy waivers from the government on. We're going to obviously be part of it, but the issue is not about the waiver. The issue is about the structure that you put in place to encourage growth in different sectors in the economy.
Right.
Now, when you put waivers for people, for manufacturers to bring in items at zero duty, which is fantastic, it encourages growth. It encourages growth on that space. But on the other hand, you're putting on waivers that everybody could bring every kind of tractors or implements into the country.
Right, so you're basically looking to ensure
it's at crossroads.
Yeah, that your business is also protected, and I think it's a good conversation to ensure we keep on the front burner. So both the people, the manufacturers, everybody wins at the end of the day. But it's great to hear about the work you're doing. Bobtrack, we've been speaking with Mr. Bob Manuel Ibifere, CEO of Bobtrack Tractor Limited, and President Rivers Entrepreneurs and Investors Forum. Thank you for your time. We wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, from this, we switch to health now. It's almost like a blast from the past in some sense. I mean, COVID was a big deal 2020, but what are we hearing about that now? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Almost 6 years ago, Nigeria shut down, the world shut down for COVID, and we're still reeling under the impact of that, just coming out of it not so long ago. Yes, again, just like my colleague said, like a blast from the past, we understand that a case of COVID has been confirmed in faraway Cross River State, if you will. But let's bring in the Commissioner for Health in that state, Dr. Henry Ayuk. Dr. Ayuk, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you, sir. Good morning from Calabar.
Good morning to you. What I'm seeing is a rare sight. It just gives me a reminder of how we used to appear in 2020, 2021. So talk to us about what we need to know, because you're already wearing your face mask.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I'm grateful the government of Kinsutu is happy for this short interview. Cross River State has confirmed a case of a new case of COVID-19. And we got that confirmation a few days ago. We had a Chinese that traveled all the way from China and then was in Lagos at the airport, 17th of March. And he was flown to Calabar by his expatriate and moved straight to Akamka, nearby local government, to Calabar for his work. He developed symptoms about a month after, and he was treated locally in his facility, in their facility. He wasn't improving, and he was referred to the teaching hospital here in Calabar. There they took some samples from him, and a few days later, exactly on the 17th of this month, he was confirmed positive. That is the situation. The young man at 53 actually is currently being kept and managed effectively at the isolation center in Calabar. He's doing well and he's getting better on a daily basis. We as a state have responded because if you have one case, of an outbreak that is not usual, that is itself is an epidemic, it's an outbreak. And for us, as far as COVID-19 is concerned, when you have a case, it is a risk to the whole world. So we're not taking it lightly. We have responded. We have activated our Public Health Emergency Operations Center with all the pillars, particularly the case management, surveillance, and risk management. We have been able to put in place and activated the structure in the local government at Akamka, particularly. Our surveillance team is there. We are doing contact tracing. And when we mean what we are talking about is that people that have close relationship with him have been listed, and we are watching them, monitoring them closely for at least 14 days, because the incubation period, the period in which you have to observe the appearance of disease, is 14 days for maximum. In fact, it can be as low as 2 days. But for this case, it's at least, for COVID-19, it can extend to 14 days. So we're monitoring them. They are in-house, in their houses, house isolation, and we're monitoring them for symptoms. If they start having symptoms that mimic COVID-19, we will take them for further investigation. So now we have listed them, but we're monitoring them, but yet we don't have any symptoms. I want to use this opportunity to tell Nigerians that information that has gone around, that 10 more cases have been identified in Cross River, is not correct. We have only one case, and probably the information they have, the media house have, is that 10 cases have been, 10 contacts have been listed, and they took it for cases. No, there are 3 basic terms I like to use, I like to explain. First is contact. People that have had close relationship with the Chinese or with the patient.
Oh dear. Honorable Commissioner,
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Their contacts, they may.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
yes, at some point we didn't get... so just for a moment, I know you mentioned that the story about 10 new cases is false, but you've established contact with the person that had contact with this particular case, and that the man who brought in the COVID-19 is in good condition, is being treated in isolation center. So walk us through, is it the same strain that we had in the last time? Is there anything different? Are the symptoms still loss of smell, loss of taste? What exactly, is there anything different that we should be concerned about? And you're already wearing a mask. Is that also what's people should be doing in Cross River, for instance?
Yeah, first, let me say that the strain, for the exact strain, we are trying to confirm it from, the reports came from Abuja. We're trying to get the strain, and it is important, that information, I'm happy you have mentioned it, is quite important because, you know, the landscape, the health landscape in Nigeria was, had the opportunity of mass vaccination. And we expect that the herd community, that is the immunity, the herd immunity across board, the immunity of the community must have improved against COVID-19. So if you are having a strain, I mean, you are having a strain, I mean, you are having an outbreak, we have to confirm whether it is a usual strain. Then, if it is a usual strain, then we have to review our vaccination program. But if it is not, know that the epidemiology surrounding COVID-19 is that you can have strains emerging anytime, and the world has to focus on that immediately. So, but for now, that is what we've done in Cross River State. We have listed the contacts. As opposed to, I was trying to debunk the story that has gone around that 10 more cases have been identified. We have only one case. And those 10, and you know, we are determined under this government not to deny the existence of any disease or to delay, you know, information. It is not good enough for public use. It is not good enough for the public. So any disease that has been identified, we let the people know that this is the disease, and that is why we have early come on board. So we have contacts. Contacts have been listed, but they are not. They don't translate to cases. They are not even suspects. A suspect must have the same symptoms as a COVID-19 victim, and then it must go ahead. Then it is different from the case. The case, when it's a case, it means you have established it by diagnosis in the laboratory. So we don't have any case now outside this one that we are addressing. We have ensured that in Akampa local government, where the case was found, the primary healthcare facilities have been activated to actively search for symptoms of people that are coming nearby. Symptoms that are similar to COVID-19, and reports them accordingly and notify us accordingly. So facilities have been activated. If now we have only one case, we are also prepared in case there is a second case. Then we have to broaden our, intervention to other local governments, to even secondary care facilities. Activate our isolation centers in each of these facilities where a room is dedicated to ensure that people that are assumed to be having that infection can rest there while they are being investigated. So these are the
it's reassuring that it's only the incident case that is a confirmed case, and the contacts that have been discovered are not carriers of COVID-19 from what you have said. But based on what has happened, there is a confirmed case of COVID-19 in 2026. What are your recommendations in terms of activating an emergency response, especially in border areas and in airports, such that another case is not recorded?
Thank you. I've already mentioned that at the state level, we have activated the Public Health Emergency Operations Center with all the pillars. The pillars here are the various committees and programs that are set to address particular aspects of COVID-19 epidemiology. We have the surveillance system. The surveillance pillar is the pillar that I've already told you is involved with active search and monitoring for the outbreak in various communities. We have them at local governments. Even though we have not activated, even though we have not heard of any other case, we have activated our EOC weekly meetings, in which we get information across board for notifiable diseases, which include, of course, mpox, malaria, TB, HIV, and so forth. So we're not only targeting COVID-19. Across the local governments, we are ensuring that at the monthly, at the weekly meetings, we have information that will motivate us. Now, let me say that once we have a case of COVID-19, it is no a local issue, it's a global involvement. This young man flew from China to Nigeria. He passed through the airport. He took a value jet, a plane, was contacted with met a lot of people there, and then then landed in Calabar. We are addressing issues in Calabar, but the national government, NCDC, must begin to also ensure that the regulations, public health regulations across board, the investigations they carry, the interventions they carry out at levels beyond the state are also put in measure. We cannot, for instance, go and start harassing or trying to intrude in the airports. The airports come directly, they are under the management of the federal government. So we need this. We need this cooperation.
Our entry points are well guarded. On a final note, is that why you're wearing a face mask? My colleague asked earlier on.
Yeah. You know, we as commissioners in the state, we also have to demonstrate what we're talking about. It is not that I have the COVID, but I need the public to know that at a time like this, we have to ensure.
What is that?
That we have not dismantled. We have not dismantled any. Hello? Are you hearing me?
No, I was going to say, is it functional?
Are you hearing me, sir?
Yeah, I can. Is it functional? There's a screen. In fact, there's no screen where hundreds of kilometers away from you can't infect us.
Yes, I cannot infect you, but I'm doing this because a lot of people are listening to me, and they need to see me in what I'm talking about. So it's not. I'm not demonstrating that I'm controlling the infection, but I'm saying that for those who particularly have these symptoms, coughing, sneezing, and so forth, you may not be a COVID-19 victim, but certainly you need to protect yourself and protect others from even that. So this is a period in which, even if the whole population cannot wear face masks, those with symptoms that mimic this COVID-19 should begin to apply it, and then we begin to purposely.
We're totally out of time, Dr. Ayuk. We're totally out of time, Doctor. I think your points are well noted. Thank you so much, and we hope this doesn't go beyond the one person. Well done in the control that you're doing in terms of the management of this case. Try and make it stay where it is, and let that be the end as much as possible. Dr. Henry Ayuk is the Commissioner for Health in Cross River State. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
So we'll get now to what the people are saying on social media. Where do we start from now?
Well, there's this post that has now gotten lots of reactions, thousands of reactions, and it's from a social media user who said he bought sand from a Chinese company and signed a receipt that was written in Mandarin, as the case may be. It says he runs a construction project and needed sharp sand urgently, and the receipt he got was something like this, because another user then posted and said, well, same for me. I signed a similar a few months ago when he bought some doors from a company in Lagos, and it was the same, written in Chinese. And last we checked, the official language here is English. it would be great to see some of these things in indigenous languages, particularly if you're in areas and all of that, but the language is English. So it's all the more curious that we have this plane. And I have people saying, well, we've seen this happen in companies in Ogun State, in Lagos, and all of that. This doesn't look good, and it's important that the government ensures that the right things are done. All right, so that's what we have, guys.
All right, so I think we'll go to the next one. I think we've spoken about this, the dailies, but let's go to the video where we understand that the president, the son of the former president, that's Yusuf Buhari, visited Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State to officially inform him of his intention to run for the House of Representatives seat for Sadamo Dora Maidua Federal Constituency. And this has gotten a lot of people talking. Now this is the culture of Nigerian political leadership. After children, after their fathers have done their time, it looks like a heritage spree. Guys, what do you make of this? Because we have it even in the judiciary, we have it in politics. We're even seeing some politicians now, you know, all over the place with their sons. The president's son, for instance, is all over the place. He's a man of his own. I think he's a grand patron of City Boy movement, politicking as well, but at least he hasn't said he's going to run for any office yet. But here we are. Yusuf, I don't know what Yusuf has done before, so to be very fair. I don't know anything about him because he was a very silent president. I think the only time we heard so much about him was when he had that bike accident, and thank God he survived. But I don't know. I'm sure, of course, he went to school, but I don't know whether he has ever worked in his life, whether he had any corporate experience. I don't know anything about him. So I need to find that out because that is important. Because we've had people in our country that some of you know who had no any other experience. They just jumped into politics and they made their whatever through politics, and that has caused problems for some of us in the country. So I'll need to find out what the gentleman decides being the president's son. That's not the criteria to run for office, but it's within his rights as a Nigerian to run for any office of his choice. So that's the balance.
Well, you know, assumption of office either by election or by appointment, sometimes, especially in our own political culture, you know, becomes not necessarily a thing of inheritance, but a natural role to assume. And we could do a head count. In the House of Representatives, you have a son of the former governor, El Rufai. You have the son of a former Minister of Information, I believe in the House of Reps as well, Joshua Ghana. We could go on and on. In the past assemblies, you've had the son of Ladoja in the House of Representatives. You know, go down to state assemblies, you would find that you've had children of former party stalwarts in the state assemblies. So it's really not a surprise. But are we doing our own roles well as the electorate to scrutinize the records of these, you know, leaders elected or appointed to see that they indeed qualify, and it's not a thing of natural selection or inheritance of those roles as a result of affiliations by their parents? I think that is more critical. That is at the heart of the matter. If we did our role well, would we ensure that they do not get elected, or they get elected because they also inherit the war chest for elections?
And I think for the people of Dora, Sandemo, Mayadua Federal Constituency in Katsina State, it is your choice. You're going to have to make the choice when you go to vote eventually. Well, what are you going to be voting for? And those are the questions that electorate should ask. Is his qualification primarily the fact that he's the son of a former president, a major political figure in the town? If that's what you think matters, all well and good. It's your choice. It's democracy. If you think the qualification should go beyond that, then you can scrutinize, oh, okay, you schooled in the UK, you schooled in Togo, you schooled here. What are the things you've done for school, your career? What are the things you have done as well? If that's what matters to you, absolutely, it's your choice. That's the beauty about democracy, guys. If the people come together and say, you see, we like... and I'm going to use an extreme example here. You see, we like this goat, and we think this goat should lead us. So let's tweak our laws to ensure that this goat, whom we think is going to be a great leader, again, I'm using an extreme example just to paint the picture. That's what democracy is about. If people think that it is normal for you to walk on your head, they say, well, that is what is normal. So it's now abnormal for you to walk with your feet. So as I said, I'm not going to be voting in that election. We will not be voting. It will be the people of Dora, Sandemo, and Mayadu. I wish you the very best in that election.
So, well, there's one more that we should also point out this morning. Former President Goodluck Jonathan visited President Bola Tinubu in his office, well, at the presidential villa yesterday, and the presidential aide, Mr. Baron Onuga, posted those pictures. Well, according to reports, Yeah, and there are also pictures as well. According to reports, it is part of consultations between the two leaders on West African political affairs and Nigeria's continental engagements. Is there also 2027 somewhere in the mix, Jeffrey and Kennedy?
I don't think somebody like Goodluck Jonathan is. I think he's been there, done that. By body language and by everything. Yeah, I think he has left. He's not even judged. Have you seen him in any PDP meeting or anything?
Oh, well, not necessarily to contest, but conversations around
he just does
getting you to support the APC.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to. These presidents, former president, they hardly do all these open supports. I hardly see them do that. They may support, but not like openly. But it's up to them. They have a right to support what they want to support. But that's it on the program. We thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye.
Sunrise Daily is up next. Thank you for being there. We're back with the home stretch tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
And I'm Kayode Kikilo. Goodbye.